Hey guys, welcome. If you have been following me before, this is actually the transition from BAM Anxiety to class. BAM Anxiety will still be the alias, of course, as you will see everything on there as well. Class is actually a project that I've been working on for a couple of years now, and now it's making this transition where I have integrated everything that I've learned in terms of my own self-development and coaching, and now have put it in a format where I can actually present it to the public. So for today's video, I'm actually going to use The Walking Dead for a good understanding of what is going on in the world right now. We can see that with the coronavirus, things aren't going too well, right? What I want to look at is a understanding of the amelioration of human existence. Amelioration is basically the development of how we evolve in the world. Once we look at our, what you would call our hierarchy of needs, we can understand where we're at in the world. So when we're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're looking at the physiological needs, bio, safety, love and belonging. We have our self-esteem. Self-esteem dives into cognitive and aesthetic. And then we have integral, which is self-actualization. Sorry. So if you guys are familiar with The Walking Dead, it's basically a post-apocalyptic zombie show that is based out of Atlanta. We saw how the CDC actually was developing a vaccine for a disease or a virus that eventually spread throughout the entire world and left a lot of people as the walking undead. Kind of similar to our coronavirus, right? We're looking at the coronavirus and how we all go through panic, especially with the pandemic that's occurring presently today. We're looking at what are our needs that we need to actually satisfy when we are looking at ourselves. So we have the bio, we have the psychological, and then we have the essential. We will fluctuate up and down. Why? Because think about a muscle. If you go to the gym consistently, you will be able to build muscle, get strong, and live a healthy life. The same way our development in terms of our psychological development is the same way. We need to be able to integrate all these areas for us to function at a higher level, which means in comparison to the metaphor of our muscle, we have learned to carry the amount of weight that we're working with. What occurred was that we had medicine, and then we went to the humanities and nature, and that went haywire. Everything just started to deteriorate, and now we're looking at the science and technology and how that stopped working. Now we look towards God for law and order, and because we don't have any of God's law or human, we drop down to the haves and the have-not. Marxist theory looked at as the bourgeoisies and the proletarians. The haves and the have-nots. So we started to steal from people, we started to kill people, and then eventually we get down to tribes, and then survival. Once we start losing ourselves within our own communities, then we go from a we to me. Me, we, me, we, me, and eventually we get to a we. The thing is that because of panic, we are basically forced to put ourselves in a situation where we have to perform in terms of our survival. This is the physiological needs that we'll have, right? This is the physical needs. We have emotional, and then we have psychological. We haven't been able to meet our physiological needs. When it comes to the biology and the physiological needs, we're looking at food, water, shelter, sex. Here we're looking at tribes. Here we're looking at community, trying to find ourselves within society. And now once we start building self-esteem, we can actually start looking at the development within the world, trying to belong, have a sense of salvation that everything's going to be okay, so we don't have to worry about it. For us to reach these levels, we need to stop focusing so much on the small things. So for a paradigm to emerge or a belief system to change perspectives, we need to understand that we have, one, the potential. Two, we start looking at the resolution. We understand that what we did does not work anymore, and now we have to find a way or fashion that we stop doing what we used to do so we can do something different to get a different result. Next, we look at the dissonance and insight. This is basically problem solving and then solving problem. We go through the existential angst right here because we are either feeling a catalyst physically, emotionally, or psychological that is allowing us to find the insights of the solution to our problem. We avoid and remove obstacles. And finally, the integration part, which is the consolidation, which is making the muscle stronger. This is where the muscle tears and then it becomes stronger. But first we need to be able to practice what we preach by removing all obstacles. This could be friends, family, habits, even the place where we're living, where we need to understand that what we did before can still influence us from actually achieving the ability to function at a higher level. A good way to explain this is juggling. So you have juggling, and then you know that you go back and forth. Our ability to juggle two balls is going to be fairly easy. We know that it's a rotational movement and that we have to catch the ball as it comes to our hand at the adequate moments. Once we start adding a third ball, we have to throw one up and then toss the other one so we can have one in the air while it is still being able to move with the fluidity of the action that we're taking. We need to be able to master the ability to tie all these three together by timing. And that's because we are not focused on actually just juggling three balls, we're actually just focused on juggling two at the time. That allows our third to become aware peripherally as it drops down and we can move. Same thing with these lower states to the medium to the higher states, where it becomes fairly easy for us to add another ball because we have mastered the ability to juggle three. Now, it doesn't mean that the fourth ball is going to be easier, it just means that we know what is necessary for us to actually juggle a fourth ball. That's the potential that we're looking at. The more you do that, obviously the more balls you'll be able to juggle and then move from a psychological development to an essential development, where now we're looking at self-actualization, which is the realization or fulfillment of one's potentials or their talents. It's an ever-going and present drive in all humans, always developing and seeing our truest potential as we develop higher and higher. The only thing is that because we're going through panic, our emotional state is actually affecting our psychological state, which eventually will affect our physical states, as we are now going to learn to communicate in a new world. And that's only because we haven't been able to integrate, go back to the Walking Dead. We go from survival to tribes, where we're going from I'm surviving by myself, then I find a group, and then we take what is necessary for us to survive, and then we look for a safe haven and salvation. Before we satisfy any of these needs, we have to be able to meet the requirements of survival first. Then we can look at the ability to look at science and human nature and all the good stuff that allows us to actually develop civil rights, technology, and the ability to innovate in personal and professional domains of our lives. So that is how we are actually functioning in the world right now, especially with the coronavirus, just because what has occurred has definitely shaking your reality. Friedrich Nietzsche actually said the map is not the territory. So whatever belief system or paradigm you've been working at, it's not going to work anymore until you actually make the shift to go up higher. The only thing is that you need to meet the needs before you can get to that point, and that's going to be based on your responsibility and your ability to take action. So I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed the lecture for today, and we'll be speaking soon. I'm out and about what I just talked about. Peace.